say it on paper.
I wish that I could freely dream and be judged from within, hunted by a power that cannot see past my skin. My views are viewed as ignorant, my truth always denied. My history is shrouded in a spider web of lies. Isn't this America?
Welcome back to At the Round Table with MAMLEO, sponsored by The Money Store. For all your mortgage needs, give branch manager Cora Holbrook a call at area code 508-345-4726. Again, The Money Store. Cora Holbrook is the branch manager there. Area code 508-345-4726. Again, you're listening at the Round Table with MAMLEO. I'm your host, Larry Olson. My co-host, my brothers from another, to my right, the Rhodes Scholar himself, Rhodes Pierre is here. And to his right, the doctor is in the house. Dr. Bradley is here, giving you a checkup from the neck up. You know, gentlemen, I didn't even an hour gone by that quick. You know, we're going to continue with this political, but you're right. Education and nurturing the body, and as you were just talking about, Rhodes, is that, you know, there was a study that just came out where seeing that younger people are getting cancer at a younger age, and the correlation is, one of it is there, as you alluded to, they're eating a lot more processed food, right? And so they're basically eating chemicals. But the other thing they found, the other fact that they found was that they're spending more time inside and not getting enough vitamin D because they're on their phones, they're on their iPads, they're in front of the TV. So they're not getting out, they're not exercising. You know, when we grew up, your PlayStation was playing outside.
Yeah, no, you couldn't wait to get outside.
Right.
These days, it's like they're like, no, you want to go outside? They're like, no, I'll just play video games.
Right.
Like,
and the phone was in the house on the wall. Right?
Yes.
So if you wanted to talk to your friends, you didn't, you know, when you were young, you didn't just have access to the phone. Every now and then, but you had to walk to your friend's house. You had to walk everywhere, so you were more active. That's not the case today.
I hate to be a theorist on this, but my belief is that a lot of times our food is designed to kill us.
yes.
You know, you can only sustain so many people for so long in a society. So some folks have to die off.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes back to slavery, like everything else in America. You know, so you have to be, when you get a certain age, you have to be very selective by, which is, I'm in that age group now. I'm a baby boomer, as Pastor Walls and I can attest to. Being baby boomers, we are now on the older side of life.
So I'm gonna use a term that you like. You're on the back nine.
I'm on the back nine. I'm definitely on the back nine. Hopefully, I'm just beginning the back nine, but I'm on the back nine.
Okay.
All right. And don't want to go in the clubhouse.
There you go.
You know? But my point here is that we have to be very selective.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, my wife and I had a conversation about, you know, I don't eat meat. I stopped eating meat, and the reason why I stopped eating meat because of the processing
Right.
that was done. That's done with it. So I don't eat it. And when I eat fish, the fish have to be not
Again,
farm raised.
wild
It has
caught.
to be wild caught.
Yeah.
Because when you're farm raising it, it's processed.
Exactly.
It's going through
Just a
all
fancy
those,
name for processing.
That's all it is. So you got to become more selective.
Okay.
Now, when you're younger, your body can expel that stuff
Right.
quicker.
A lot easier.
But when they're processing it, the food is so heavily, even the younger bodies are having difficulty expelling
It is. So do you, and especially when that's all you're consuming. Like
Exactly.
when we were growing, like I was just showing you guys off air, you know, that we're growing a garden every summer. I look forward to. We start with the seeds, we germinate them, and then we transplant them into the pots. And it's unfortunate we don't live in a climate where we can do it all year long. But even after that, we will spend the extra. And I know not everyone can, but I said sometimes, you know, it is more expensive to eat healthy. Let's be
Yes,
real.
it is.
It is more expensive to eat healthy. But sometimes you have to weigh what is more important, right? Because our needs are our wants, right?
Yes.
And so you need your health to do anything. So, gentlemen, I was thinking while you guys were saying this, because we were growing up. I remember, you know, growing up, and there were kids who were special needs. They came in a little station wagon. Most of them looked like
Or a small bus, the yellow small,
Exactly,
the small yellow
right?
bus.
And now we have so many kids who have autism,
Yes.
So, is there a connection maybe with?
I would say this
with the foods, the chemicals, and
I just wanted to just jump on 2 points that you made. You said, because of the weather, you can build a greenhouse. All right, just giving you another project.
Oh, yeah, all right. But let me know when you're coming over.
I have all the tools ready for you.
Right.
And secondly, a lot of countries, like our neighbors to the north, a lot of the food that we buy here, you can't get up in Canada.
Really?
Really? Yes.
What do you mean by that? Elaborate.
Like again, like even the soda, they use sugar. They don't use high fructose corn syrup.
Okay.
All right. A lot of food that you can come here and buy in America. Like you go over there, it's banned because of the different chemicals in there they're like, nope, it's not going to go into our people. It's not going to go into our kids. Period. So if you want to actually see like how we're being poisoned, just go up north and see what you can buy.
But see, when you have a society that is actually predicated on slavery.
Yes.
All right. And that particular component of society has been ostracized, marginalized, and devalued.
Yes.
The food that he's talking about is geared towards
our
that
community.
Right.
Exactly.
And then the people that are actually been traditionally benefiting from that component of society, they get access to places like Whole Foods,
Trader Joe's,
Trader Joe's, and all those other places that are giving you unprocessed or organic food.
Right.
All right. And then our people are like, what is organic? What does that mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that natural food,
non-GMO food.
We're not getting access to. And then this is another hit. If you actually take in and limit their ability to travel beyond their community, now those individuals, because of life you have to eat, can only go to the most convenient stores that are selling the food that I want you to have. So I want to kill you off at a certain amount. What I'm trying to say to you folks who are listening to me, this is all calculated.
Yes.
Well, right, because when we were growing up, and it's still there, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, the only McDonald's I knew of growing up was the one on American
Highway, yes.
And it was very rare that we got to eat McDonald's. I mean, it was a special treat probably once a year.
Yeah.
When my mom sometimes that Purity Supreme up there, they returned it into Heartland. It was because you had to bag your own groceries.
Yes.
So we would have to go with her to do her shopping, right? And we see that McDonald's all the time. She's like, nope, we're not going. We just bought McDonald's. This is groceries. So, but now there's one on every corner. There's a Dunkin' Donuts on every corner, right?
Why?
And so, exactly. And these kids, look, they're addicted to sugar. That's why we're seeing an increase in juvenile diabetes and all of these health conditions with our young people is because it's easily available.
Yes.
I mean, you got a dollar menu. It's parents say it's cheaper for me to go get you something unhealthy than it is to go home and cook.
Yes, it is.
So,
it's by design, like you said.
We have to understand in our community that our community was originally designed for working purposes only and not valued. And now that we have the rights that our forefathers fought for, and they fought hard for it. I remember my grandfather going and marching with King when we were living in Augusta, and he was a part of the Selma, Alabama march, because he said, I wanted my grandchildren to have a better life than I. All right. But there are people, all right, who are so bent on keeping you in a particular group in society on a particular caste run that they're actually making sure that the institutions that are servicing you are subpar.
Yeah. One
of those institutions has to be the institution that are providing you food. Your supermarkets, that's what I'm talking about. Your food industry.
Yeah.
So we have to be selective.
Yes.
As a people, is what we're eating and why we're eating this stuff. Because look around you. You're seeing young folks in their 30s and their 20s and 30s are dying from cancer.
But you
good. I wanted to point out the fact that you know what GMOs are? Genetically modified organisms. Okay, so they're putting it in our food, and again, even Haiti has banned GMOs. Canada, Mexico, they're saying no, we definitely do not want this. Like and these days you have companies like Monsanto's, which is a chemical company, masquerading as an agricultural company, suing farmers. Like if a farmer, the next door neighbor happens to grow their proprietary seeds, because again now they have seeds or fruit or vegetables that get reproduced, but they don't produce seeds anymore. Like you literally, like you buy a grape and it's a seedless grape, so you can't plant a grape in the seed yourself anymore. So it's a way for them to control the food, and again, it's capitalism and them trying to make more profits.
Well, see, you guys. I know. I don't know how much you cook. I know Dr. Bradley is a very good cook, and you can see the difference when you cook your own food, right? Because you control what's in it. Like as people come, I'm like, they'll start throwing salt on something before they even taste it. I'm like, did you even taste the food? Yeah. But their taste buds are so addictive because everything they eat, all that processed food, is just loaded with salt. I told, if you buy a can of anything, and like I said, moderation. Every now and then you want to come home and pop, but it's not designed. Real food doesn't last for 5 years. No, it doesn't have a shelf life. So if you're popping open a can of something that's been sitting there, compare that same thing like they did that experiment one time with the Twinkie, and it was like how old it was, and it hadn't even changed colors really because it's nothing. It's not a baked good. It's just a chemical. It's chemical. So and this is why I think, again, going back to this PAC, because this is part of what we can do with this political action committee, is educating our community not just about politics, but about health. Because the Nation of Islam, I know they used to. I don't know if they still do it on Saturdays. They used to have food up there, and they would be selling food at a reasonable price. But it was all stuff that they had grown, And I told you, when I took a cucumber out of my garden the other day and I had it, man, I was just like, oh my goodness.
They take that cucumber and put it in water, man.
I know.
Put it in water.
Right.
You're talking about something that was so relaxing and something so hydro. Oh man, it's
but here's the thing, to your point, right? Because that's how we were raised. My mom cooked every day. We had dinner around 5 o'clock. My mom said she didn't run a restaurant, so it wasn't like you order on the menu, right? You get what she cooked, right? And it was usually a protein. And sometimes it starts up sometimes a lot will be 2 vegetables. I say this because if you could not give my daughters a soda. They seen them, but they don't drink them, so they wouldn't. Not something their palate would accept. And I took a friend of my sister-in-law heard her boyfriend's daughter. She came over with some, and they stayed over. She's the same age as my daughter. She's probably 200 pounds, and I'm not exaggerating. They sent her food because it would say, well, she won't eat what we cook. You know what they sent? What? Oodles of noodles. Because that's all she'll eat. So
she's addicted already.
That's why she's 200 pounds.
And I told them, we're not cooking it for her. If you want her to eat that crap, I said, guess what? This will be a weight reduction while she's here overnight because I'm not feeding her that. We don't have that in our house. Oodles of noodles.
Yeah. And then again, that's the parents losing the ability to actually discipline their child, where it's like, oh no, like we don't want to upset them or whatever. But as parents, you're not there to be their friends. You're there to be their protector, their educator.
You were a child. Did you have a job?
No.
Did you go to the grocery store and shop?
Oh, we helped mom. Yeah, my mom would pick the stuff. Yeah,
I say this because if you didn't introduce that to her, they don't introduce that to her because that was convenient for them.
Yes. Just like the phone,
and she's paying the price for it.
Now, exactly.
She will eat nothing else but pretty much oodles of noodles.
Yeah, and when she get to be my age, she'll have implants.
I'm sure. Dr. Bradley,
that's the problem.
When I tell you,
that's the problem.
She is the same age as my daughter and twice her weight. Twice her weight.
That's so sad. And they'll get early onset diabetes, heart issues, like circulation. So all that thing, she's already predestined to, again, to an early
doesn't want to move.
Grave.
So I don't understand why I say, if you have, they call it now the food stamps. They have another name for it, EBT, right? But they also have WIC.
What's an EBT?
It's
electronic
banking
transactions, something like that. But it's like the welfare office used to be called the welfare office. Now it's called Department of Transition, and most people don't transition, so they need to take that name off of there, right? But I say this, right, because WIC, right, women, infants, and children, is how all that food should be, right?
Yes.
You are limited. You cannot buy sugary cereal.
Yep.
You can only buy healthy choices of food, low-fat milk. It's a list of things, but it's all healthy. But it's coming from the same, but with the EBT, the food stamp program,
they can buy anything they want.
I remember it's been a while since I've done a detail, but I remember doing the detail at the Stop and Shop over there at Heath Street. And I'm standing there near the produce section because that's where people coming in. Because I always like to see, it's a police thing, who's coming through that door.
That's right.
It's more important who's coming in than who's going out, right?
That's right.
And I'm watching how many people, no one is touching the fresh produce. And I'm watching these carts, everything is in a box. And these young kids are in there with these cars and they're buying sugary soda. That should be banned.
Yes.
Because what we're doing is getting them sick, and now we have to pay.
And also getting
for the
them
health.
addicted
Right.
at an early age.
Well, look how much there is. 20 grams of sugar in a 16-ounce bottle of soda.
Yes.
20 grams. That's 20 teaspoons.
Have you
of
ever seen
sugar.
the plastic bag that represents it?
Yes.
They're like, okay, they show you the can of soda, and they show you the plastic
Right.
bag of like how much sugar is
Well,
actually in
you know,
it.
you bring up a point. I was looking at one of the labels for nutrition labels on a can of on a product can, and I'm reading it, and I'm saying to myself, my God, you have to have a PhD to figure this out. My wife says you do have one. I said, well, yeah. I mean, I understand it, but what if I did not?
Right.
You know, I mean, you have to really have everything that's done is broken down in such a way where you have to stop and think about. All right, I'm not talking about this can. I'm talking about the serving of this can.
That's right.
You know, so if I got 80 calories, you know, I mean, and the can got 2 servings,
Right.
I have 160 calories. You know
Right.
what I mean? That's what, you know, and people are not processing
But
it
I
that
think
way.
you said it, Rhodes, you know, that when you look at the ingredients, most of the time you can't even pronounce what it's on there. But if it's something that is wholesome, it may have 1 or 2 things on there, right? So it's easier. So that tells you
Potato
it's not a
salad.
science product,
Yeah.
right? And then they try to hide sodium in different ways. They try to hide sugar in different ways, right? You, like I said, a can of collard, like, oh, you should try this can. I said, look, let me tell you something. I go to the grocery store. It's more work to go to buy some greens and cut them up and wash them, right? And season them up, right? But guess what? I know what I'm eating.
No self-respecting Southern is going to have a canned collard greens.
Listen, they told me about Dr. Bradley. I had someone.
Come on, man.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Come on.
Let me tell you all. Let me share a personal story with you guys. Before I got married, I was dating this young lady. We were just getting in, and she said to me, "You know, I'm gonna cook you the best home cooked meal you ever had." Right? I said, "Well, you know, the bar is high." Right? So I got there 5 minutes late. Right? By the time I sat down, that box macaroni had stuck to the plate. I don't even know that Weaver chicken that had you know was. I mean, I'm like. She's like, you know, I said, and all that was playing in my head was that song, the macaroni soggy, the peas all mushed in the I forget what the dude was, and I'm saying to myself, she just opened up a package of everything, and I was appreciative of the effort, but I was expecting
Actually,
a home cooked meal. Because
Yes.
when I think about home cook, I think about the way my mom cooked, the way I cooked, the way my grandmother cooked.
Yeah.
You know, like even my wife. And my wife is a health. She runs Abbott Runner and all that. And so one day, you know, was at her parents' house, and she's like, she was making a cornbread. I said, I can't believe you making that. She's like, oh yeah, we've been. I said, you eat this? You eat this? It was Jiffy. And I said, have you ever looked at the ingredients in it? She's like, no, I haven't, because she, you know, she wasn't really paying attention because you know. She said, oh my goodness, it's easy to make cornbread. I tell people, if you can read, you can cook.
Yeah.
And even now, you don't have to read.
YouTube it.
There you go, and watch the videos.
YouTube University.
You don't need a cookbook. Like I still have a lot of my grandmother's cookbooks, you know, my recipes and stuff, and I'll refer to them, and you can tweak them. But like my daughters, they love being in there.
Yeah,
They're my
I mean,
sous chefs.
I'm not much of a baker. I mean, I'm not good at it, but I would go to YouTube very quickly.
Well,
and
you've
put
had
it
my
together.
lemon cake, right?
Oh, absolutely. I want some more.
Wait, you make lemon cake?
Oh yeah.
Oh, man, when you talking about man,
I'm ready for a treat.
Oh,
When's the next occasion?
Matter of fact, I come in here next week and
man, it'll knock your socks off.
You know,
Okay.
and he ain't even wearing socks.
Well, it'll make your toenail curl.
I will also say this. It's like, okay, you got the thing where they call it corn syrup.
Yeah.
Like, why is it high on fructose?
I don't know. It's high or something, right?
Yeah, it's like-
All right. It's just sugar. But like I said, cornbread, eggs. I'll use some buttermilk, some cornmeal, a little pinch of salt, right? And if you want to add a little butter, because I usually put that in the bottom of the pan to get the bottom crispy.
Yeah.
All right,
And the cast iron, I told people,
That's iron skillet.
Yeah.
me and my wife almost got a divorce because my wife was not a cook. I do most of the cooking. Her mom cooks, so she, you know, and we almost got a divorce because I had made some cornbread, took it out. The cast iron skillet was there, and she was about to drop it in the dishwasher. And then
You don't do a cast iron skillet.
I was like, call a lawyer.
Well, my wife.
Once those pans are seasoned, this was my grandmother's. This was my great grandmother's. This is how long this been in the family.
Yeah.
It was passed down to my grandmother, who passed it down to my mom. I now have it, and it will go to my daughter. So that pan is so seasoned, and nothing goes in that pan but cornbread. And I have one for fish because I don't cook fish in no deep fryer and all that. Cast iron. There's certain things that for me just traditional, right? So yeah, I tell people this stuff today. Well, these pans with all those chemicals, that's another thing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You're releasing toxins every time you heat it up.
Yeah.
But brother, I tell you, with my family, my wife and I, we were married for 5 years before she knew that I can cook.
Oh man, you're good.
5 years I hit it, and one time she said to me, I want to have some stewed liver with the gravy and the onions and some corn and some peas. And I said, and my aunt, she loves the way her aunt used to cook it. And she said, but Aunt Juanita is not doing well, so I said, I can cook you that. She goes, really? I said, yes. So I cooked it up. She was like, you made this? I was like, honey, yes, I did. And she called my sister. He can cook. She goes, he can cook. I mean, my mom made sure. Look at his background. Right. And man, my wife was so mad. She would pick up the phone and say, you're not calling the lawyer. You're not calling the lawyer.
No, she's calling the preacher. She's calling the preacher. Yeah. But it's funny because the same thing with my wife when she came and I had cooked dinner for her and her friend when they came over, and I had made collard greens and stuff like that, and she baked chicken, and she was just surprised because most people, like they pop open a can or something, and she went home and told her mom. She said, "Man, he makes better collard greens than you do." I said, because it's traditional. What's your favorite? What's your dish you good at, Rose? You gotta.
I will definitely.
You're a
say,
bachelor.
Well, I'm awesome at breakfast, but I will definitely say like
not showing up for it, but what do you cook? Breakfast is the easiest meal, man. You ain't getting away with that.
No, it is. But I will say that the bouillon, making the
what is that?
That's basically Haitian soup. We call it bouillon.
What's in it?
Don't
tell me chicken feet.
No. But it can be beef, the meat that you choose or whatever. But it comes up with the vegetables, carrots, celery, potatoes, banan, which is plantain.
Yeah. Okay.
And then sometimes depending obviously throw the spices and everything, but you marinate the meat, and so that way the meat gives the soup its flavor. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, brother, listen, I'll make a recommendation.
All right.
Because you guys are making me hungry. Let's shift this conversation.
Okay. All right.
All right. Let's go. I want to take a look at the Harris campaign.
Okay. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I want to talk a little bit about that because I think we have seen something that hit the political stage that our boy, the Orange Stain, can't tolerate.
No.
And then when I saw him speak the other day, I'm saying to myself, I was like, burn, baby, burn.
Yes.
Burn, baby, burn. It's about time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering what are your thoughts on it, and can she maintain this momentum?
Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, no, absolutely. The fact that she's something fresh and new, she's younger, and she has a record that definitely can beat his day or night. It doesn't matter. And the number of people that got registered to vote after she became the nominee, the number of dollars that they raised after it's again not to use the term, but it is unprecedented. And the fact that she picked a running mate that again, that's someone
they're clicking.
Yes,
that haven't been around each other. That are clicking.
And so to people, that's again refreshing. The fact that they're trying to look towards policy and looking towards the future and building America as opposed to tearing it down and separating it. That I feel like that the momentum is going to carry.
Well, you're spot on, and I'll just add to that is that Trump was betting on going up against Joe Biden, right? And on the stage, he looked like the young guy, right? now that you have this young, vibrant black woman, right?
Yeah.
And she's very articulate, right? And she's cutting him to shreds, right? And he just looks like this bully in the schoolyard, just calling people names to see if he can get a rise out of them, right? And she's not entertaining it. She's not feeding into it, right?
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I think that because she has a shorter window, she doesn't have to go as long with this, that the enthusiasm will last, because most of these campaigns when Biden announced was over a year ago.
Yeah.
And it's hard to keep it up for that long. But now that it's a shorter span of time, I think from what I'm seeing, people are excited.
Well, women are excited, young people are excited.
See,
so
I look at the two campaigns and I see two different Americas.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at those two individuals, I see a black woman, a woman of mixed cultural background. All right, and I want to make sure, because I tend not to use the term race because I think it's divisive. So mixed cultural, background, and a white man, and so I see a sense of diversity there.
Yes.
And then when I look over to the left, to the right, when I see the Republicans, I see two white men
And a few paid black people behind the whole sign.
But this is my hit. The message.
Right.
The message I see on the left is pushing America into a new, into the future. This is what America wants in the future.
That's
The message I see on the right is going back to the 1930s. So I see a contrast that's disturbing.
Right.
And so that's why I think the Republicans, and I did all that to say this. I think the Republicans, they have the wrong guy, the wrong ticket for this time.
Well, he's playing the golden oldies, right? And what he benefited from with Hillary Clinton was she was disliked more than he was.
Yeah.
And people didn't really know Donald Trump like they know him now, right? He's been the former president. So he has a record, and people saw how he acted when we had a crisis here and how he warms up. So he's not an outsider any longer. He is an insider now, right? And there are a lot of people, Republicans, because you see all of these groups popping up, right? White dudes for Harris. There's a Hispanic organization that has, in the history of their time, have never endorsed a candidate, and they just came out and endorsed her, a Latina. And they're going out on the groundswell. I mean, look at these crowds, and I know people say, well, crowds, because that's what Trump judges things by, right? Yes. And that's what's got him the same stadium that she filled, he could not fill. And a lot of the people that he had there, they were paid so that they couldn't. He can't stand seeing empty seats, and there's no enthusiasm, because it's like a broken record, gentlemen. When you get up there and you sit there for 90 minutes just airing out your grievances, and all of them are lies, and you fact check them. That's why I was shocked that I didn't watch it, but the news outlets carried that whole garbage of lies, right? He had more people there than Martin Luther King, right? That everyone loves this abortion thing, right? These are just lies, that proven lies, right? So when you hear someone, and then not one policy issue, not one. So right now people say, what are you going to do for the economy? Matter of fact, unemployment was higher under him than it was. The economy did worse under Trump, right? Under him, we had to shut down the whole country, the whole world.
Again, I go back to say, the hiccups that we're having in our economy today is rebounding from COVID,
right?
His
ineptness.
Yeah, yes. You don't stop an economy on a dime.
You've said that. Right.
It takes what you're seeing now was policies that were created months and months ago. Yeah. So it takes a while for those policies to reverberate through the economy.
Yeah, I put it to this: is if you ever been on a cruise ship and they're coming in at full speed, and the captain tries to set the brakes off before it hits the dock, it's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
They start slowing that ship down way out. You don't even know, right? Right? And you just don't start it up and back out in 5 minutes. It takes a little navigation. We have recovered. Most countries would love to be in the shape that we're in. Even the other day, the market had a few hiccups there, right? And within 2 days, it bounced back.
Yeah, and I think that was due to the and that's another thing that you're going to hear them actually throw around is how the government interest rates,
Yeah.
and how the feds are actually changing, slowing down or reluctant
Inflation.
to actually and decrease the interest rates.
Yeah.
And you're going to see that happen very quickly.
Yes.
You're going to see it happen in very large numbers because the economy is saying, wait a second, you know what? You got to loosen up here. Money is too expensive.
Right.
The economy is going to slow down because
Right.
people are not going to borrow.
They're not
you know,
buying, right.
and that's how the economy is built. But see, the problem is that you're thinking we were talking about how our kids do not understand education, understand government, but they also don't understand economics.
Economics, yes.
Correct.
They also don't understand how the economy works. So when you don't understand these things, it's easy for me to tell you how they work because you don't have anything to reference.
The other thing too is, gentlemen, is that I remember way back when Oprah was on and she talked about, and Rose, I want to get your take on this, and she talked about we're more likely to not spend our money recklessly when you have to pull the money out of your wallet and pay cash for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or when you pull out your credit card to do it, right? Because you got a little room on there, and you might have a $5,000 balance, but you don't have $5,000 to pay it if you run up to $5,000. So if you don't have the money to pay for it, you usually won't get it, right? And they were saying that, if it's not something that you absolutely need, wait until you can pay for it, right? Because what I do is with my credit cards, I use my JetBlue. I pay it in full. I use it every month because we get to travel, right? So there's a return on our investment where people, they pay $100, they put $100 back on. And these credit card companies, they don't understand that the interest is accrued on top of that, and then the new stuff as well. If you leave a balance on there, it doesn't go away.
Interesting. You mentioned this. This is ironic. My wife and I had the same conversation yesterday, driving into Denise's sister's event. Because I don't use Citibank. I have the card. Don't want to close it. She has one,
Right.
and she uses it. And I said, "Wait a second. Let me give you the history here. Let me explain to you that Wall Street is Wall Street because of money it derived from slavery. Citibank became Citibank, one of the largest banks in the world, because they had a free loan, free money, free seed money, and it
labor.
comes from the labor that our people put in place. So I tend not to use them. I want to go more to the United Bank. You know what I mean? And then we start to talk about the interest, on the money. So she was telling me we have an outstanding bill. I said, no, we don't want to have outstanding debt, with them. I want to pay it off, get rid of it, because if I'm going to use them, I use the money for free, and then I keep it moving.
Exactly.
I would just tell people again, like they take finance classes, and
But where do you get to take them?
well, apparently, like if you
That's
want
boring.
to, well, I'll just tell you. Saturday mornings at 10, 75 3rd Avenue in Waltham. If you wanted you go to WFG office, you'll get financial literacy.
Yeah.
Okay, and they do it every Saturday or Tuesday evening at 7.
Yeah.
But other than that, all I will say is this as well: is the fact of the matter is, it's like if you want to learn how to use credit, the credit cards, the way you use it is use it as cash.
Sure.
Like whatever you're gonna buy, like your groceries, your gasoline that you're going to pay cash for, use the credit card, take the 30-day free loan, and you pay in full that day with the cash that you're going to use anyway.
Exactly.
You build up your points, you build up your credit, but you're not paying interest, because if you're paying interest, that's when you're losing money.
That's right.
Okay? And as a matter of fact, I believe usury in the Bible was like charging interest or money for the loaning money is a sin.
We have a scholar here.
So exactly. So the banking system is actually a whole sin. I'm just going to leave it like that.
To the political piece as well, Trump was planning on running on immigration, right? And even with that, right, that he acts like there's no evidence that shows where he told the Republicans they had an agreement, and he told them to kill it because it didn't help him politically. It would help Biden politically. So to your point, all of these things you're asking for the momentum, I think they underestimated Vice President Harris.
Okay,
Really
but Larry, let me tell you something. That comment you just made, number one, is a very unfortunate commentary, and is a very powerful position to be in a democracy, where you're no longer in office.
Yeah,
but you can call someone to say, "Don't do this."
Right.
Because when you're no longer in office, you're a citizen.
Right.
It's like Larry calling someone to say, well, don't do this because this is what I want to do.
Right.
That's a king itself.
Yes. Right.
He should have never been.
And it's un-American.
Un-American. It's unconstitutional. Not unconstitutional, but it's un-American.
Right.
So let me say this: if I were Harris, and I'm not, I'm not nowhere near as fine as she is. My wife is going to have my head, but I think she's.
This is recorded.
Yeah. I think she's a very attractive woman. All right, but if I were her, I would eat them up on this. All right, it's like, and I would ask the question: who are you working for? Who is the Republican Party working for? Is it working for the people, or is it working for the Ernstein?
Well,
because the Ernstein could call in and say, now you got these border states who are crying for help, and yet you tell them suffer. I don't want this to be a
you notice
win
that
for
recently
Joe Biden.
A couple of his Republican mayors on the border states in Arizona have come out and endorsed Harris because of that. Because they're saying that Trump is using it as a political tool. He doesn't want to fix this right now because go back to what he said when he was president and when he was running. He said that he would build a wall and Mexico would pay for it. Wall isn't up there. Mexico hasn't chipped in a dime. Chipped in a dime.
But if I'm talking to the marginally educated,
right,
and I tell them I'm going to build a wall and Mexico is going to pay for it, chances are someone's going to say, okay, you're right. Okay, yes. But if he talked to us about that, we would say, come on, dude.
Well,
what are you talking about?
How can you force him to pay
How
for
can you
it?
force it?
Here's the other thing, too, right? All of the corruption that surrounded Trump and his cronies, right? Steve Bannon, the mall money, he stole the wall money, right? His guy, right? He's actually serving time now for defying Congress, right? But Trump pardoned him when he was convicted for stealing the wall money, right? Trump now, there's some allegations where he took like another $10 million from his foreign country.
From Egypt.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then you had the Senator Menendez who just got convicted for doing the same thing that Trump is doing. So, in the Supreme Court has given a license for presidents like Trump, if they get elected, to steal. I think that Kamala Harris has electrified a party that has been sitting waiting for a leader, right? Someone that they could buy into, that they could get excited. Because as someone was saying, you can't manufacture excitement. Trump and them get people, they pay them to stand behind them, black people for Trump, this one for Trump, whatever, right? And you can see these people are like, oh, I can't wait till it's over, get my $50 so I can get out of here, right? These folks, when you look out there in this Harris crowd, Harris Wells crowd, you see excitement, you see enthusiasm, right? You don't see that because, like I said, I could not sit there and listen to someone just complaining for 90 minutes.
But you know, one of the things that my head is this here. I believe that the Harris movement, not a moment, I'm gonna call it a movement, has ignited a pushback, has given the traditional Republican Party component of that party the necessary guts to push back against the MAGA group.
Well, I would agree with that. I would add this to it. There have been things that that have been said that it seemed like it was only going to impact people of color, right? The border and defunding DEI and all of those things, right? But now an abortion is a huge part of it because women are finding that, in this whole thing with what's the other in vitro, right? That people have a better understanding because they were trying to sell it as abortion was only for people who went out on Saturday night, got drunk, got pregnant, and now they want to abort the child. Even I wasn't as educated as I am now, not understanding that there were medical reasons why people and that what people are going through. So I think people know people now who they can relate to, and they're saying, wait a minute, because the Republicans always ran on less government, right? And now they are the government that's in your bedroom, in your schools.
Yes.
What you can read.
Which is the reason why the new traditional Republicans, what I call the Colin Powell Republicans, who are going to push back. I think you're going to see a segment of Republicans say, we are for Harris.
You're seeing that,
and it's not because they agree with her policies.
Right.
They see her as a non-threat to democracy.
Yes.
Because to that point, Dr. Brett, you can always debate policies. And people, that's been since the beginning of time, differences of opinion. But this is someone who's saying he wants to rip up their constitution.
So you can't debate a dictator.
So my point is this, brother.
You better not be standing there.
You died.
Our wives, your wife, you're married?
No.
Okay. Our wives
and our daughters have less rights.
And Pastor
has a daughter.
Has had more rights when they were actually at childbearing ages than our children has today because of Trump. And then Trump was, watch this now, watch this. He would sit in and say, oh, I was the one.
Right.
I was the one who actually repealed Roe v. Wade. Right. And now, I know nothing about
Sergeant Schultz. I know nothing.
It's at the states level. Let the states do it. Right. Now, that was the same argument. So as a black person.
For slavery.
As a black person, you should be very sensitive to this because that's the same argument
state rights,
that the slavery had.
Yes.
That's what caused the Civil War. Was the whole fact was that the states wanted the right to make a determination if they were going to enslave or not enslave.
Right.
They wanted a right to actually have forced labor camps, rape women, beat people who refuse to work. All those things that we thought we were so abhorred over the fact of slavery. He's using that same argument today.
Well, when you're hearing stories where there was a woman who had a miscarriage and the child in the bathroom, it was in the toilet, they wanted to charge her with abuse of a corpse.
Yeah.
I mean, these are things where people say, this is just too much. This is crazy because that could be me.
Mm-hmm.
This was not someone who wanted I mean, there are medical reasons why people have abortions, right? And I think, again, this is why you're seeing, and women are going to move this election.
Well, they always do, but
this is their rights are on the ballot.
Exactly. So let me give you this scenario. Yeah. And we know this won't happen because you have raised your children well. But if your child come to you and say, Dad, I made a mistake, and now I have this physical issue, and I need help to leave this state to go to this state to correct it. Mm-hmm. And if you, as a father, a loving father, help your baby, they can prosecute you and your child.
Right.
Yeah.
How
is this America? Where's the freedom?
Where's the freedom associated with that?
Well, that's what I'm saying is that your rights should not stop at borders, right? Fundamental rights, right? Yeah. The right to privacy. Again, I go back to Republicans always ran on less government.
Yeah.
This is not less government.
Yes, this
is taking people's rights away. Yeah. The right to privacy. I mean, which of these folks, there are very few people who have PhDs or who are medical doctors in the Senate, in Congress. Right, and a lot of them, most of them are men.
Yeah, I mean, there's very few people who are making these laws who understand the vicissitudes and the issues associated with having a child.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, they don't know what it's like to have a child.
Exactly.
But yet they're making these decisions about what is, who's going to have it.
Well, think about it. What you just said, why it's so powerful, is that this will be the first time in history that a woman has been the president of the United States. Mm-hmm. We've always had a male perspective, black or white. It has always been a man in that position, right?
Yeah.
And it feels different. When Hillary was running, it almost felt like I don't think people were ready for a woman or her.
Not her.
Right.
Yeah, that was.
I think Trump. All the stars aligned for him. The backlash of having the first black president.
Well, he didn't even realize he was going to win. When he won, he was like, "Oh my God, I won!" Like he literally thought it was a joke.
He wasn't prepared. Exactly.
Yeah. Well.
No, I'm saying Hillary was more disliked than Trump.
Yeah,
that's not the case now.
Yeah, I voted for Hillary because I saw Trump. I saw what Trump was doing.
Yeah,
did I have issues with it? Absolutely, but I voted for it.
Yeah.
But my point is this here: Trump no longer has that honeymoon where people can say, "Well, you know what? He's a businessman, so
he's a fraud. He was never a businessman.
He no longer has
what
that.
What businesses he has been successful?
I hear you.
He's the only one that flies Trump Airlines. All right, Trump steak, Trump vodka, everything. Like they say, how does a casino? How do you lose money at a casino? You own the casino.
Yeah.
How does it go bankrupt?
And everything is actually built toward you to win. But my other hit is his running mate. And I want to kind of comment on the things that he said about Tim Walz. And now. Do I have anyone else at the table who's a military, who's a veteran? Anyone else served? Well, I served. All right, I served in the U.S. Army. Thank
you for your service.
Thank
sir.
you. Same branch that Walt served in. Okay, and I know, as a veteran, that I'm the kind of guy that will stand up and salute the TV when I see a coffin come off the plane because I'm so committed as the individual who served.
Right.
And I knew that at one point in my life that could have been me.
Yeah.
All right, and that could have been my family. I had to explain to my wife why I was doing this. But that's another conversation. You do not air out your laundry. like that, like what J.D. Vance did. J.D. Vance was a corporal in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, more like a stenographer.
Ross was a command sergeant major who retired as a master sergeant. That's a huge,
he spent
huge
20 plus years he spent for one
Yes.
term. And that was so he could, and in my opinion, so he could have that background.
Yes.
Say
right?
that. Oh yeah.
Right.
So-
That's why he made it in the safest place he could.
So he retired as a master sergeant, E8. All right. So, but he had the rank of command sergeant major,
Right.
E9. I retired as a sergeant detective, but had the rank of a deputy superintendent.
Right.
I mean, that happens when you're in a paramilitary situation for benefit purposes. That's how it works.
Right.
And so my point is that you don't question another person's service. You don't say, well, he didn't go into combat. You can be in combat and not be in a foxhole.
Right.
What did Trump do? Didn't he say bone spurs? Get coming out of
5
me?
times his parents got him.
So-
but to that point, exactly, and this is why they're having such pushback on it. But this is the same person, like you said, who deferred 5 times. His father got it deferred 5 times for bone spurs. That said, people who serve suckers, who serve the military,
Yes.
who said that
Prison
John
people
McCain, he doesn't like people who get captured.
Yeah.
And so he has a reputation, but also J.D. Vance was the one who said that Donald Trump was Hitler. So how can you believe anything that comes out of it? If it's advantageous for him, he will say it.
That's where I'm going. So I'm going where I'm going here is that if you're going to lie to me before you get to office, what will you do when you're in the office?
Exactly.
That's right.
Come on. I mean, and
Look who he's learning from.
It's like, and it's not like that I can't ascertain or I can't figure out that you're lying because everything is already recorded.
Yeah.
So I can actually look at you and watch you on television saying all these things about this guy, and now you kissing the ring. So what make me believe what you're telling me today you're going to do when you're in office?
Well, again, I think he thought this was a cakewalk because they were going to go against Biden, and he thought he was going to be the next vice president, future mini-me vice president to be, right? And now it's all imploding, right? So these are like acting like bullies, right? It's not sticking like they thought it would, and they didn't expect this type of excitement, this movement. Because your question was, do you think this can sustain? I think it will. I think that honestly, I think Joe Biden kind of planned it this way, right? Because the less time he gave her, just enough time to be out there campaigning where it still stayed fresh, right? Where if she had started this over a year ago, right, there wouldn't have been this sense of urgency. I mean, look how quickly things have come together.
Okay, so let me hit. We're winding down.
Yep.
So let me just put this knowledge of this nugget of knowledge in your mind. Jack Smith, the special counsel, the prosecutor on the January 6th case, has just asked for and received
a 3-week delay.
A 3-week delay.
Yeah.
The hearing is scheduled for September the 5th.
5th, yeah.
All right, September the 5th. In 2 months before the election.
Yeah.
That hearing will give a review
Of the case.
evidence
Yeah.
of the case. So now what you have at the very beginning, when people are beginning to look at and hear and the election, you have what happened.
Great point.
There you
Because
go.
if he did it right now, people are getting ready to go back
That's
to
my
school
number.
vacation.
Watch
I didn't
that.
even think about that.
Watch
That's
that.
A very,
Watch that.
that's why you get the big dollars.
That is a very big
How come
piece
you
there.
didn't come up with that?
That's a very big piece there.
You're the middleman.
Because that was Dr. Bradley's
But
time.
you're a Rhodes Scholar.
Well, he's good. He got his every. But I think that's where you're going to see people are going to begin
That's
to
a
look
very
at,
good
look
point.
at.
Because you're right. Because that's when people start to engage. It's right after Labor Day.
Yeah.
People kind of paying attention because early voting starts
Yes.
right around that time, and people are going to have this in their mind when they go to the polls.
And I think it's very difficult to actually vote for somebody who can't vote for themselves.
Because in Florida, if you're a
He can't-
convicted felon,
he can't
right?
vote for himself. He's a convicted felon.
So what happens if he does? Is the governor down there, DeSantis, going to put him in jail like he did the black woman?
I mean, it's amazing when you make these public policies and they come back to bite you in the derriere. Because those public policies were made just to make sure to alienate
Certain people.
and ostracize certain people that look like us.
Right.
And now those policies coming back to actually hit the people that do
So
not.
did you
look
guys
like us.
believe these polls? Because these polls are really trending towards Harris, right? And like some states like Georgia now they're saying is a toss up. Arizona, Nevada, where
the numbers are definitely switching.
Yeah, well, they were leaning Trump, or they were in the margin of error, and now they're in play.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I don't as a researcher, I don't necessarily believe in polls until the outcome. I think the polls give you a snapshot of what's happening, but you have to also, there's a lot of assumptions made. That the person that you're polling is going to actually go in, and they're going to pull the button that they said they're going to pull. A lot of those assumptions.
Here's the thing there, and I want to get your take on this, Rose, as well, is that with polling one thing, but also the increase in the number of people who have registered to vote, right? Mm-hmm. They weren't registering when Trump became the nominee. Now, so is it unfair to make the connection that these people are registering to vote for one person over the other?
Well, like I had the urge to give money when I heard about the particular campaign.
Right.
It really depends on that registration result into going to the poll. But one can register and not go.
Right, but here's the thing, what you just said, I have heard that from a lot of people who I know don't normally do this. So you're giving me this impression that I'm hearing from a lot of people that never gave to campaigns, that are donating to campaigns, that are volunteering. And what I'm seeing is it's a diverse group of people.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I feel deeply, and I had to make sure that my bride understood this, that it's time to pass the torch. It's time to go from the baby boomer generation and the generation before them, the first baby boomers versus second baby boomers, to the generation X and Z's. Yeah. It's time to move this thing over to the younger generation, and Harris represents that younger generation. Yeah. And I think that if you think about it, when they were doing the polls about how America felt about the two options between Trump and Biden, most people were like, I don't want either.
Right. There was a double haters.
I just don't want them. You know what I mean? And so I think I think that Harris is a breath of fresh air. Yeah. And I think Nikki Haley said it correctly. It's either going to be her or Harris. Right. It's not going to be Trump.
Yeah.
I just don't think people are going to vote for
we played that on the broadcast when she said that. And I mean, when she said that back then when she was running, no one really paid attention to it, but she was right. Because, again, now Trump is the old guy. He's the old guy standing next to this vibrant young woman. Mm-hmm. And he can't get away. I mean, he just looks tired and miserable. I mean, he was campaigning in Montana. Montana is a safe red state, right?
Well, he wanted to campaign in Montana. He also wanted to have the debate on Fox,
right?
Because he wanted to be where he's comfortable.
But first he didn't want to have any, but now he's been shamed. But also he sees the numbers trending.
But also it was funny how he was like, anytime, anywhere, any place, and then all of a sudden Harris came in and said, "Oh no, only Fox News and this particular thing."
I think the other side of that is that he brought. Watch out for Kellyanne Conway.
Yeah, he's trying to bring her back.
He's trying to bring her back because she was the one who taught her how to, coach him into attacking Hillary. But this is a different time. I don't think Kellyanne is going to be able to do this.
No, she's a prosecutor. She knows that. There's a big difference.
Right, Hillary never.
That was not a public servant. I mean, she was Secretary of State, but she's never served into. Because again, as an attorney, she litigated and she's prosecuted people, so she knows how to go and make a valid argument and defend herself, and be able to actually take on the attack and be able to she's not even acknowledging the attacks. She's actually moving forward and saying, "Okay, we're talking about policy here."
Yeah, exactly. But a policy that Trump does not. He doesn't have a policy. It's all about his grievance. Yeah. Well, I shouldn't say that. I should say his policy is Project 2025. That's really the policy that he has, that he's trying to actually, stay clear of, and to say that he has nothing to do with it. He knows nothing at all about it. But in actuality, the people that actually working for him, who had worked for him or working with him, wrote it, authors. Right. And J.D. Vance wrote the foreword.
That's why you notice that the book that he wrote it in, it's been postponed until after. It's not going to be out there until after the election.
And so when you read that project, for any person of color, you should be completely alarmed by it. If that alone should motivate you to vote for Harris when you read it, because I'm looking at this and like, oh my God, you're talking about actually just eviscerating the entire Constitution.
Right, but see, they thought that this was going to work in their favor, and now it's coming. Like they say, you said many times, the dog that caught the car, right? Mm-hmm. And so, like I said, folks, we're going to have more information as well about the PAC, the Political Action Committee that we have formed. We are going to get jump in this with both feet and make sure that we're out there, not just behind these microphones, but out there in the community, educating folks on the importance of election. This really, people say this sometimes, and it's not hyperbole, that this is the election of our lifetimes. It's deciding whether or not we're going to go back or we're going to go forward. Any closing remarks, Mr. Rhodes?
Go out there and vote, folks. Get educated. Stay enlightened, please. Do not let the ignorance win.
Well, my closing remarks is this: I'm looking forward to the PAC and use the PAC to educate our community, and our community will be strong overall.
Right.
Be
Amen.
blessed.
It's going to be like a wolf pack. You've been listening to the Roundtable. Pastor Walt, thank you, sir, for sitting in. I know Pastor Hobbs is on a well-deserved time off. We appreciate you, sir. All right, that'll do it. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
You ain't gotta lie to me to sell me a track. You ain't gotta rock fake jewels or walk around strap. I respect artists getting money, but love them for spitting crack. And the fact that one track can move a family out the trap. It's a dream for us lost souls brought up in the mix. I'm motivated by the artists coming out in my midst. And the artists that paved the way when I didn't exist. Music's a skyscraper, I'm just trying to add a couple bricks.
This is for the dreamers. They say I am a dreamer. Cause I still believe that anything is possible as long as you work hard. Hustle real hard, hustle real hard. Hustle real hard, hustle so if I never see ya, never get the chance to meet ya. No, I came up from the bottom, always rooting for the